Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Chromebook Cloud Inclusion in the Music Classroom. I am Dr. Fred Kersten, and it's so excited to be able to present for you today. And I'd like you to meet our presider. This is Craig Uppercue. He serves at the Volusia County School District as K through 12 Fine Arts Resource Teacher. He's supporting 275 teachers for the visual and performing faculty. He is also a faculty member at Stetson University. He's teaching elementary methods for them and supervises their student teaching. And he is also a performer. He's a percussionist. He works with various national tours, including Broadway and off Broadway productions. So, welcome to working with Craig for today. And I'm so excited to be able to have him as my presider. So, I am Fred Kersten. I work for Boston University. I work with the online master's and doctoral programs. We have a fantastic program going for us, folks. We have 3 degrees. We have a Doctor of Musical Arts, a Master of Music, and a CAGS, which is a Certificate of Advanced Graduate Study. These are totally up online at Boston University. The information is available to you. If you are interested in our degree program, certainly communicate with me. I have worked with many teachers who have gone on from teaching at the public school onto the college ranks as they get their degree from working with BU online. So, what am I going to try to talk to you and show you today? I'm going to cover a lot of different things. I'm going to be talking about the various aspects of working with a Chromebook. Many of you work with these instruments. They are very fine. They have got new things that are happening. I'm going to try to show you some of the cloud tools you can use in the music classroom. I'm also going to be showing you the influences of Google on music education. There are so many new things that are starting to come out from Google. They are working with new file formats such as Webm and WebP, and I'll try to show you how these work and illustrate opportunities that you can work with as you employ with specific subjects. I'm going to talk about working one-to-one with the Chromebook. I'm going to talk about playing on the Chromebook, which is going to be very interesting. I'm going to try to talk to you about notation, audio editing, recording, music theory, ear training, video creation, how to make some videos and use some online opportunities with your Chromebook, and also video editing. And I'm going to get involved with creativity, practice, curriculum presentation tools. I'm going to show you one I think you probably have not seen before. Talk about selecting a CB for purchase, and then get involved with Google Play opportunities on Chrome and various things that you can do. And I'm going to give you a strong handout to be able to follow up on with many of the information and sources that I have available. So if you go up to the session title for this presentation, that's a handout should be there for you in digital format, and also it'll be on the web page associated with this presentation that I'll show you at the end of this presentation. So I want to talk a little bit about how Google took over the classroom. Well, I think this is really very interesting to look at because sometimes we don't realize that. We talk about today more than half of American kids are using Google Apps. Folks, that's 30 million children. So if you want to sell something, boy, oh boy, you got a good market right there. Chromebooks are now the powerhouse as you start to work with American schools because now more than half of the mobile devices shipped to schools are Chromebooks. Google is now prioritizing training for kids. They're working with teamwork in schools, so they are a very important part of our training. And Google makes quite a bit of money off this, folks. They're making approximately $30 per device by selling services for millions of Chromebooks to schools. That's a lot of money when you start to think about it. There is a concern in the technology business because if you get somebody going on an operating system early, then there's the potential for continuing on throughout life. I disagree with this philosophy, folks, because I think our kids are becoming so technology smart and savvy that they are able to switch over quite instantly to anything that they want to work with. They are really doing well with technology, including in education. And in terms of dollar wise, Google is part of Alphabet. And when I started working with this presentation, Google was only worth $800 billion. Now it's worth a $1 trillion amount, which is, I think, fantastic to see how things are starting to improve dollar wise for them. They are also involved with other aspects of technology. They are now working with the Webm video file. This has been sponsored by Google. It was primarily developed to work with the HTML5 video tag. This is a new file format, it's royalty free, and the nice thing about it, it's a small size. And you're going to find you're going to see more usage of it because of the small size. It can be quickly transported. It's now supported by Google, Firefox, Opera, and Chrome. And the upcoming plugins that are being developed now are for Internet Explorer and Safari through the standard HTML5 tag. They are also working with WebP, and I'll show you that in a second. Big problem presently as you start to work with WebM, because the WebM file is not really supported big time now by our video editing software. So if you want to change it over to an MPEG-4 where you can be able to work back and forth and edit it out, you want to use Handbrake. And I've given you the URL for Handbrake in your handout. Certainly, it's a freebie. You can work with it. You could be able to take those files and change them over quite nicely if you want to do some editing. I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about working with WebP, because WebP is also sort of interesting. It is a lossy file. Lossy means that it will be able to work down into a smaller file size, but it will also lose some quality. It's royalty free. It's an image file. And I thought it was sort of interesting when I did this presentation. Their mission is to overthrow JPEG. You know, you hear about overthrowing a country or a dictator or somebody. I've never heard about overthrowing a file format. Its development is by Google. It has a 64% reduction in file size from the image coming down from animated GIFs to lossy back down to WebP. You're converting from PNG to WebP, and you're talking a 45% reduction in file size. Again, because it's a new file, we have a problem. With some types of aspects of working with WebP, your photo editing software will not accept it. So what you can do, you can right-click on WebP file using Safari, and you can save it out as JPEG. So this will give you an opportunity then to do some editing if you want to do that. So I decided today I wanted to play on the Chromebook for you. Another opportunity that you could use with a Chromebook you might not think about working with your kids. And there are so many new things that are starting to happen as you start to go back and forth with being able to play on this instrument. And one of these is new. It's with Accordion. And they are an organization working out of the NYU Experimental Technology Lab, and they give an opportunity for you can actually play on the screen of your Chromebook. Hi, everybody. You're looking at Accordion. This comes from the NYU Experimental Music Lab. It's pretty unique. As you notice, you can work with a QWERTY keyboard. They will give you various tunes that you can work with, and then you can build your compositions or improvisations for there. For example, I could work with a rock organ if I want. I could work with other various types of sounds. As you could see, a muted trumpet, I guess, if I wanted to go that. But this is all types of possibilities to work with. So then what I can do is I can start my tune, and then I can improvise with it. And so you can see what you could do with it, which is a lot of fun. By the way, what you could do is put your own tunes in with them. So if you want to have some type of a sequence that the kids want to perform with or improvise with, they can have that file available to them and they can work from there. Bongo Cat is really cool. Everybody, this is Bongo Cat, and I'm sure you've worked with this. It's really very unique, especially when your kids have their Chromebooks, because they can play as an ensemble if they want. There's all different types of sounds to work with. You can work with a cymbal, and you can also work with a cat. But the neat thing, if you want to get involved with musical activities using chromatic sounds, you can use a piano as you go up the numerical keys, or as you go through the QUERTY keys, you can also work with some type of mallet types of instruments. So there's a lot of different things that you can do if you want to build some type of an ensemble and have your kids perform with using your Chromebook. So iReal Drum is really neat. All types of neat things to do if you want to get involved with playing ensembles, working back and forth with kids. If you want to start a percussion ensemble, be my guest. Be a good way to do it. Hi, folks. You can see what real drum looks like. You've got a kick drum, floor tom, stand-up tom, various cymbals, a ride cymbal, so that you could use it to do some playing if you want. You can do so you can do all different types of things. Obviously, you can work with 2 or 3 students on it, and these students then can play as a group if they want. You can put your Chromebook through a speaker system and have some type of ensemble going if you want it. So neat things to be able to work with. I decided to allow you to have an opportunity to hear my golden tones. A lot of things to be done with real ukulele. And I think it's really sharp. But many people are using ukuleles, obviously, in the schools. The kids have to take them home. They have to worry about tuning them and that. There's an opportunity to work with your Chromebook and perform and play on it. So rather than me trying to talk about it, I decided to record an example strumming the Chromebook screen using my touch screen, and you can see exactly what I could do with real ukulele. By the way, you could also get real guitar, which is great because you could do the same type of thing. Down the way where the nights are gay and the sun shines daily on the mountain top, I took a trip on a sailing ship, and when I reached Jamaica, I made a stop, but I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Kingston Town. So you can play with this thing. It really is fun to be able to work with. And again, if you buy a Chromebook, make sure you get a touch screen so you can be able to do some strumming. Xylo is really unique. I'm going to have one of my students show you a demo on Xylo, how you can apply it specifically to the lesson in just a couple of minutes. But you can see so many different things you can work with. You can work with the default colors on it, or what you can do is you can use it as a boom whacker if you want. You can work with all different types of scales. You can put it in chromatic scale mode. And the nice thing about it is then the kids can be able to perform on the instrument. They can be able to work on screen, and they have an instrument to be able to perform off. I'll show you exactly what you could do as far as a lesson goes that one of my students is working with her kids as I go on. So a lot of different things you could do with as you start to be able to play on the Chromebook. One last thing I wanted to show you is real piano. This is really great if you want to work with younger kids. So you can see exactly what you can do with it. Hi folks, this is real piano. It's quite interesting because if you notice the size of the keys could be used with younger children. Pretty good sound. You can play chromatically. And you can play chords. So you can do a lot of different things if you wanted to play in a class and use an ensemble, or you wanted to use this to play tunes or notes off a score or on a whiteboard that you might be working with. Your kids can work with their Chromebooks and do some nice things with it. All different things I think you can work if you want to go the performance route on your Chromebook. Want to show you some things with NoteFlight Learn because we all have worked with NoteFlight for so many years. It's been around for a lot of times, really good. And you can use the free version. But NoteFlight Learn is really doing some new things, which I think is really very, very cool. For example, you can collab back and forth. The teachers and the students can interact. You can be able to share. You can listen. There's all types of activity templates that are there that the kids can build off. And you can build in your own if you want. You can now do live audio recording, which is really great because if you want to work with the home and you've got to work remotely, you can then have some type of recordings done and you could send it in and the kids get involved with assessment. There's great internet apps opportunities to work with integration. You can work with other learning management systems. You can see the notation, you can listen, you can do all types of performance assessment. Something new that they are now is working with is called sound check, which they have added in. And what you can do is you can provide all types of numerical ratings of red, green, and yellow. I'm sure some of you have worked with smart music. Okay, you can build up for that. You can work with pitch, rhythm. Then the kids then can work with instrument and voices, which I think is really cool, and a metronome. And then if you'll notice, if you look at the Ode to Joy in the bottom right-hand part of the screen, you'll notice then you get a color assessment of what the person has done with pitch and so forth. Really cool, new thing that they have built in, which I think is very, very interesting to work with. You get involved with teaching scenario. You can do all types of now collaborative composition lessons you can build off. They can work in pairs, small groups. And as I noted, they have a composition library where they have all different types of templates you can get involved with, working with styles of Bach and Beethoven and so forth, plus putting in your own direction. I think the neatest thing I like much more than working with Finale or working with Sibelius is Flat. And Flat is quite new. They are now being integrated in with Google Classroom, which is great because if you're doing types of activities back and forth, it's there for you. You can get involved with all types of collaboration online then. You can work one-to-one with your Chromebooks. And I thought it was sort of interesting what the Fairfield School District is doing in Illinois, because what they have done is they are using it to integrate their curriculum. So what they do is the kids go up on Flat. They can be able to work back and forth between 7th grade and 12th grade. They can do all types of composition, no types of activities, and so forth. They can build these things in, and then they can work instantaneously back and forth. And I mean instantaneously, synchronously. Sometimes it's asynchronous and becomes a little bit hairy trying to change files back and forth. But in this case, all the kids' files are in one page and they can go to them and they can quickly change back and forth. So this is my page, as you can see. The thing I like about it the most is I can then go right down and I can drag into the score the notations. I don't have to worry about the latest version of Finale 27, which I believe it is, or the latest thing with Sibelius, because then my kids got to learn that operating system in both cases, which can be a little bit complicated. They can drag and drop in and they can build from there. And this is pretty much what they get.
This is Flat, a powerful music score editor inside your browser. Embrace music creation and bring it to the future. You can drop notes with a click and go further in your melody. Even if you lose your network connection, you can keep on working with our offline feature. It will synchronize your scores when you go online again. You can invite your friends to work with your new music sheet and enjoy the real-time improvements that foster the efficiency of your band work. If that's not enough for you, you can start a hangout chat with your collaborators and have fun with them. When your composition is done, share it with the community that gathers more than 300,000 musicians and music lovers.
Really cool. It's a lot of fun to be able to play with if you want to build it into your school curriculum or working with your kids. Everybody is getting involved with Audacity of so many years, obviously, but the neat thing about working with the new aspect of going through AuphieDocs is you can work with Audacity online. Little bit different. You can play through Authy docs. You can be able to work with audio files, and you get something that looks like this.
You can work with Audacity online if you want. If you'll notice, I've set it up so that I'm accessing the site. And if I want to do some work with audio, I could do the normal editing of the files and build from there. Big problem of this, sometimes this does run a little bit slow. So this is something to be aware of. Obviously, Audacity is fantastic to be able to work with online, and you can build off it if you want to work with Chrome.
So this is a direction you can go. Also be aware of working with Authy docs because there's a lot of other opportunities. By the way, I made this video with Screencastify on my Chromebook so that you can see exactly what Screencastify can do, especially as it exports out Webm. I'll talk about that in a second. Nice thing about Authy docs is a lot of different things. There's so many opportunities to work back and forth with it. There's all types of major programs that are out there. You can get involved with Word, video, you can get involved with PowerPoint. They have a new audio file format that they have just come out with that you can build off it. So be aware of that site. I've given you that site in your handout if you want to build from there. I have been working with Soundation for approximately 14 years. I think it's really cool. They've done a lot of changing around, obviously, to hit the remote market. It lives entirely in the cloud. You can record directly into Soundation, which is really cool. There's automation of tracks. There's all types of volume panning and that. You're working with the professional DAW, as far as I'm concerned. They have a lot of audio tracks, and you can mix and build from there. The nice thing about working with Soundation now, it's now up on working with Google Hangout, which is another direction to be able to build back and forth. So your kids can work from home if you got to go into that remote move again. I hope we don't, but it's there. Soundtrap has been building its image over the last couple of years. I think it's really cool. It's like working with GarageBand. The nice thing about it is that it's a DAW in the sky. You don't have to work with just GarageBand and work on Mac. You can work with any device you want. You can work with world collaboration if you want to use that term, but you can work with almost any type of device. So if you go to their page, you can see what they look like. You know, I've got it set up. You can see my page is set up. The neat thing about what I was able to do is I could work with any of my projects online. They have all different types of tutorials for sound. So if you want to talk to your kids about working with waveforms and things like that, they've got these various tutorials. They're pretty simplistic to be able to work with. And the other nice thing about it is that you can get little awards that you could put up on your page. I could work with any of the social media to get in, Facebook or Twitter, any of those ones. And then what you can do is you can find people by their types of sounds that they perform with. So if I wanted to, for example, find somebody who was working with guitar, I could click on the guitar icon. I could go and listen to the various sounds that the individuals did as they composed. So I know if I wanted to work with that individual and build from there. The nice thing is working with Soundtrap and Noteflight is they are now interacting. Now, I think this is really cool. This is a page from John Malinzak, who is the vice president for Hal Leonard, and he has also worked with Noteflight for a number of years, and also he was vice president for TIME, a really outstanding person with working with music technology. But he shows you the various things that you could do with Noteflight and build back and forth. For example, you could see your Soundtrap song as a note flight notation. The live performers then can perform your work right away. You can remix the audio from your note flight score and then work with Soundtrap instruments, which gives a lot of variety. You can export out MIDI drum parts from Soundtrap and copy them into the existing score of Noteflight. So all different types of things to be able to integrate back and forth, which are really cool and adds to the various aspects of sound. So I want to show you what you could do with Soundtrap. I did this with my students, my kids for Boston University. They're all teachers like you are. But the neat thing about it is they decided to work with this in a collaboration format because they were taking this example back to their students and building from there. So one of my students tried to combine banjo with hip hop beats. And what he did was he collaborated with another student, and she recorded in a wonderful band, Zuri Flute Obligata, which you'll hear in a second. Another student added various synth loops at the end. A third student started to add the bass and drum loops from the Soundtrap library. If you go the route, it's better to buy the more expensive version. You can get the freebie, but you're not going to get the variety of loops you want. Then what they did is they added in a voice line from the Loopmaster's free sample pack of old movie dialogues. I'm giving you that URL. You can follow up on it. Then they recorded in the banjo part. Then they did all types of tweaking and did the audio changes and worked with reverb and all the various things. And they come up with what they call the banjo hip hop subconscious, and it sounds like this.
Came to me in a dream, like a subconscious impulse. I can see it right in front of me. Like a subconscious impulse. Subconscious impulse. I can see it right in front of me. Came to me in a dream, like a subconscious impulse. I can see it right in front of me.
So you can see what you can do with it if you want to go in that direction. Thought you might like to see a teaching in the cloud example that one of my students did for working with her students at her new school. She is now teaching at the Sudbury School in Massachusetts. She's administrating the music program. She is an outstanding teacher. She's been through our program that we work with online with Boston. And she's a great graduate student, but she's also a fantastic bassist. But what she did with this lesson, she decided to use one of the aspects of the Chromebook to be able to teach ear training. And then she got involved with solfege and scales. And what she did with it is she gave the kids an opportunity then to work with the various types of intervals and then get a chance to sing and that. But to use these sounds and to be able to provide sounds, she worked with Xylo. And this is really unique because what you can do then is the kids can go home, they can work off the lesson plan coming down through the sky, through the cloud, if you want, from remote aspects, but then they can perform almost instantaneously without having any other type of instrument that is available. And with the Xylo, then they can work in chromatic mode, they can work with various scales, and they get something in terms like this for sound. Really neat to be able to work. You don't have to pull out an instrument to have an instrument to be able to perform and to be able to take a lesson and theory at home. When you get involved with recording, there's a couple things that are really fantastic to work with on the Chromebook. One of these is Twisted Wave. I've been using Twisted Wave for a lot of years. I like it very much because you'll notice I can work with multiple waves. It's just the same as working with a professional quality DAW, and you get something like this.
Twisted Wave is really a unique opportunity to work online. You can work with it, your Chromebook. You can then be able to work with all different types of audio editing just as you work with professional DAW software. So I'm going to drop in a file and you can see what it looks like as it opens up. And then you have all different types of opportunities. You can send it right on to Google Drive, which is really fantastic. You can do all different types of editing. You can select the various aspects working within the file itself. You can lay in markers. You can do all types of audio effects that are all there. You can then do some editing out and then be able to do cutting. And then you can loop from there if you want to go. So it's a very fantastic thing to be able to work with Chromebook, and I commend it to you.
To get involved with music theory, there's a lot of new things that are starting to happen. Teoria is going online big time. Obviously, they see the market coming down, especially starting to work with remote teaching. HookPad is really very unique. I've used HookPad before, and I like it very much for younger children because what it will do is it gives you an idea of the harmonic structure of a song. So you can build a harmonic structure, the kids can compose over it, they can put in various types of syllables, and you get something like this.
An example of hook pad, which is sort of interesting, if you notice, you could lay in various chords if you want, so I'll play them through. And then if I wanted to add additional chords, I could do so. Oh, 5, and let's go to a 1, 4. And you can follow the same procedure if you want. You get involved with adding notes, or you can work with various aspects of the scale. There are all different types of features. You can loop if you want. You can play, you can record. There's a band feature that will allow you to work with various instruments that are there and change tempo and so forth. And you can add lyrics. So HookPad is really very unique. You can use it online with Chrome.
Getting involved with ear training, this is really a unique opportunity for working with younger children. This is music notation training. I think it's really cool. It's pretty simplistic, which will give you an opportunity for working with the younger kids if you want to get involved with a little bit more aspects of theory.
Music notation training allows you to work with single notes online. As you can see, I can be able to then put in the notes as I wish, and a G and a C and so forth. And then if you wish, you could also work with chords so that you can be able to identify these chords that are up and E minor and so forth. So this is available to you in both free and then obviously the pro version where you have to spend some money.
And in cases with technology now, you know you've got to do that. Aurelia and Musician are both up online now more extensively. Obviously, they are reaching out and working very nicely if you want to work with that in your kids. I want to show you some curriculum presentation tools because I think it's a very important aspect to see what you can do with it. One I think you know, and the other one is one that's probably new to you. But anyway, working with slides certainly works out of Google very nicely. It's very simplistically, it's not PowerPoint, but you can do some things with it on the freebie side.
This is just a fast little video on slides. Obviously, this is available through Google. It works out pretty much just like working with PowerPoint. So you notice I've just put in 3 or 4 slides, as you can see. I can then go into present mode if I want. I can start my presentation. It's really a neatest down there. I love the little pointer, to see how the pointer sort of slips around the screen, and then you can go through your presentation. I decided to show you some of my caladiums that I grow during the summer so you can see how these slides can be built.
Another one that is really unique is called Pow Tune. Pow Tune, as you notice, the interface is pretty much like working with PowerPoint. You got the slides on the left side. You can pull in audio. You can do voiceover. You can bring in all types of graphics and things of that nature and build out. They say it is synchronous. It's not. It's really asynchronous. So if you're working back and forth between people, you got to send the file back and forth to them. One of my students decided to work with this, and I wanted to show you an example that she created with her kids. They decided to work as a commercial. Okay, now this is a good way of using as a vehicle or a genre to be able to include all different types of technology aspects. You can be able to work with a storyline. You can come up with a script. One of your kids could do the script. Another could be working with the graphics and all these various things. But what they did, what Nikki Kersten, she's from school in California. She worked with her students back and forth. And they decided to do a commercial, and they decided to work with an app. And the app was iReal Pro, okay, because we had been using the app as part of our class activities. But the neat thing about it is she built this back and forth with her kids. They created the commercial. I think it is really creative, and you can see exactly what you can do if you start to work with Pow Tune.
This is Nikki. She plays guitar in her school's jazz band but doesn't like practicing all by herself at home. Isn't it frustrating when you want to play with a group but you can't? Wouldn't it be great to have the entire jazz band at home with you anytime you wanted to practice? Your parents wouldn't like that though, because they'd have to clear out the whole living room, buy a bunch of pizzas to feed them all, and warn the neighbors. But there is an easier solution. iReal Pro. With iReal Pro, Nikki can play along with a real jazz band that takes up no floor space and doesn't eat anything. Nikki can either import charts from iReal Pro's forums or compose her own. Simply tap the pencil icon to begin creating your own score. Use the pop-up keyboard to enter your chord symbols, beat marks, and other symbols needed. Don't want a jazz bossa nova groove? Tap it to select from the dozens of other groovy grooves available. Hate playing with lots of flats? Tap the treble clef and D flat in the bottom right corner and choose your key. Want to take some solos? Tap the 3X at the bottom of the screen and select the number of repetitions you want. Once your score is just the way you like it, grab your instrument, tap the play button, and start jamming. Tap tutorials to learn how to share your work with others in iReal Pro's forums. To get iReal Pro for your iPad, go to the App Store. It's only $12.99, much less than the cost of one pizza.
Now, we actually thought about sending this on to Pow Tune because it's a really fantastic commercial, but it was done by kids, and I think it was really neatly be able to use. So that's an idea format you might want to think about. Canva is out there. You can produce slides, video. I won't get into that. Many of you probably used it. Also, Flipgrid is becoming more and more sophisticated over the last year. It was originally developed at the University of Minnesota, but it's got a private or synchronous video communication source you can work with. Many people have been using it. You can be able to work with text and video for interaction and so forth and so forth. And it looks just something like this.
I'm going to click on my class here. And then here is the question that I posed to my students. So we'll take a look at this. And here's the link to that specific question. So I'm going to click on that so you can see what my students saw. Here's the question. Watch the following video and comment. So this was a YouTube video that I shared that had just come out from Khan Academy about learning. So this was an intro to discussion board type of question, and I wanted students to respond either here within Flipgrid, or I wanted them to respond in the discussion board. And so some of them chose to do that. You can see what the question was here as well. So let me hop back to this real quick. And this is an example of what a student response would look like.
I believe that I am a hands-on learner
and you can get involved with musical opportunities, so many different things if you want to go that direction. Video creation. I want to show you a couple things using a CB for video creation, editing, and screencasting. I like Screencastify. It's really cool. It's up online. I've done all these videos on my Chromebook for this presentation. You can work with WeVideo, which is there. You can get, I think, 5 minutes session that they will allow you. One that I like a lot is Loom. I've got that on my CB and work with that for screencasting. And then you can work with the Screencast-O-Matic video. And I wanted to show you just a fast little video because you can see what you can do with Webm.
Hi folks, I am working with Screen-O-Matic, so you can see how it works. It's really a pretty cool sharing opportunity for sharing the screen of your video. So I'll go into MSM and see what's going on today. You can see I haven't shaved today, but you can do all different types of opportunities with this.
And it sort of clubs up because I'm working with Webm format, and you're going to find more and more export out with Webm. So when you're talking about Handbrake, folks, if you're going to do some editing with it, but you're going to find more and more with Webm. They've got a new algorithm, the BP8, and they are working with the Vorbis audio. So you're changing things around quite a bit. Be aware of that. I'm bringing it to your attention because I try to add a little bit of technology information to a presentation. If you have a problem with converting, you could also work with Mac 10 Video Converter Pro. I didn't want to mention that, but I am mentioning that because many of you will work with your regular computers. Anyway, my whole direction was to stay with the Chrome theme for this presentation and not go into software, which obviously you can't download and use. Since I'm talking tech, one thing you should know about is you've all been exposed to working with MPEG. The MPEG group, you've heard of MP2 and MP3. This is the MPEG group. It's the Motion Picture Expert Group. It's a group of individuals that meets approximately 9 times a year. They develop the file formats that you know for MPEG, and then they are having these. So we have a standardization of file formats over the various aspects of the world. Selecting a CV for purchase. This is really wild because I almost got myself thrown in jail. I looked at 72 different Chromebooks, and I think it was sort of interesting because I went to one of the stores, I think it was Best Buy, and I was fooling around. I usually take my QR code scanner and be able to read, what's about the various aspects, files, pictures, and so forth. Well, anyway, I was looking at the wires and that, and apparently they were connected up to a security system. I connected in, I pulled the wire out of the machine, and of course, everybody descended on me like a flock of locusts. They thought I was stealing the machine. But anyway, I've looked at a lot of these different things, and let me give you some of my impressions. Memory storage, you're probably going to get 64 gigs of solid state if you're going to get that much. I set a price limit of $250. Okay, I could have gone less, I could have gone more. You can spend tons of money on Chromebooks if you want to go with a top-notch professional machine. For your kids, you can go pretty good with 250. Some of the lower ones you don't want because they just are too slow and they're too junky. Anyway, that's all I'll say. Google Chrome will run on 4 gigs of RAM and a limited processor. So this is something to be aware of. I tried to get the touch screen. I like the touch screen very much. I can do so many things with it. I perform, play, and so forth. And as you start to look at these things, look at the various size and weights and your student ages if you're asked to recommend for them, because some of them are pretty large and pretty heavy and pretty clunky. Key quality. You're not going to get backlist keys. You're going to find some of the responses that are a little bit spongy. Cheaper models, it can be a nuisance if you start to work with them. You can find various types of Android apps out available, which is fantastic. Linux, forget it. They will tell you about having Linux. You can go the Linux mode. I had a lot of problems with that. Linux has really got some problems with audio. So it really isn't hitting the thing as yet. Ports. You want a USB-C port, you want a USB 3, and you want a micro SD. Most of these new ones are coming out with the USB 4 or USB-C. What I did with my machine is I worked with an external flash drive. And the reason I did, because obviously a Chromebook does not have very much memory with it. So if you get yourself a large capacity flash drive, try to get a USB Type-C, and you want one with a fast read speed. You want 150 megs on read speed, because then what you can do is a lot of these things, when I do this presentation with video on my machine with a Chromebook, I can read entirely off on my flash drive. And so I don't have to do a lot of transferring back and forth, which can be a pain in the butt, as you probably well know. You also might to get yourself a micro SD card. And if you get one, you get a Type 10, because a Type 10 will be faster than a Type 3 or 4. You can get various ones through the various companies that will give you the slower speeds. You really don't want it. You want a transfer speed of up at least to 90 megs, because then you can transfer your videos out if you want to go that direction. Locating and selecting apps. I love to be able to work off the Google Play Store. Fantastic music apps. I've given you a list of things you can get. Google Play provides a lot of opportunities for music apps. There's FL Studio Mobile, there's BandPass, you can work with SongMaker. BandLab is awesome. Be able to work with Recording Studio is there.
a music studio, Soundtrap, obviously, and there's various other ones that are there. So if you are looking for music apps to be able to work with your Chromebook, certainly go to Google Play, and I've given you the URL that you can follow up on.
And most of you already know where I'm talking about. Chrome Web Store is another location for good apps. Two things I wanted to recommend to you. There's an article out by 10 important things to know about your Chromebook. It comes from EdTech and Mobile Learning, which is a great site. The nice thing about it is they will tell you about your Chromebook so you have some knowledge about it. I think one thing that you can do with your kids as they start to work with the technology aspect is to try to make sure that they have some knowledge about the machines they're working with. It adds to their tech experience, and certainly I think it's important to have some type of a knowledge about the thing that you are working with predominantly many hours of the day. You can also go to a good site from EdTech and Mobile Learning in terms of working with 13 must-have Chrome apps for music teachers. And I've given you one you've already seen, the working with the music notation training. There's other ones out there. There's Audio Sorama. There's an audio tool, which is really cool. But I've given you that site. Go to it so you can get some ideas of the information that's there. Creativity. Chrome Music Lab. Many of you have worked with this. Certainly is coming out of Google. It's an experimental site, but you can do a lot of performing. You can do a lot of correlation if you are working with other subjects, such as science and math and so forth. And you can build and do a lot of compositions if you want. And to give you an example of what you can do with it.
Chrome Music Lab, you can see there are all different types of opportunities. So let's just select one for rhythm, and you will notice as it opens up that we will be able to see the various aspects of percussion that are available. See, so you can then click on these things if you want to build them, and then you can build various types of rhythms that you can make if you want, and you can use other different types of instruments as you can see. Let's just give you another example of what you can do. I sort of liked working with the arpeggios. You can see exactly this opens up. You can get all different types of chord sequences if you want. As you can see, you can change these if you want and program these out if you want to go that route.
All different things that are there. Certainly look that up, as many of you probably have worked with it. So, location library for app selection retrieval. I've given you a lot of information that there's available to you. Two sites you would recommend highly to you. Katie Wardrobe's been doing this for a number of years. She's got a fantastic opportunity coming from Australia on music technology. She has usually a webinar a month, and you want to go to them. There's going to be thousands of people there. I mean, very honestly. I mentioned how she gets by with all the bandwidth that she does. But her programs are super. She's a wonderful, wonderful young lady to communicate with. And she has got a lot of great practical things for working with music technology. Amy Burns is a teacher at the Far Hill Country Day School in New Jersey. She's been there for 20 years. She's got some fantastic books online. Go to her sessions if you want. She's so nice to listen to and so entertaining and so exciting when she talks, because she's so into the topics of music technology. And the nice thing about what Amy does is she works with kids, and her ideas are real, and they are coming from working with children. And I think this is so exciting to be able to go to her session if you can get in the door, because there are going to be so many people there. But the nice thing about it, all her materials up online, her books, she's got some things on Chrome, which is really great. And all the materials are there. They're fantastic. Go to her site and she'll give you a lot of good information about it. So thank you very much for allowing me to be able to present today. I think it is really sharp. I've given you a QR code that's on the screen. My page is fredkersten.com. It's got the web page up specifically for this presentation. The handout is there in digital format. Certainly, if you have any questions, you can get back to me at my email, fredkersten@fredkersten.com. I want to thank so much Craig Uppercue for being my presider today. And also thank you very much for FMEA for allowing me to come down and present. So if you have any questions, please get back to me, and I'll be most happy to give you any information that I can.